everyone, today I'm back with another book review and today I'm going to be talking about Tower of Dawn by Sarah J Maas. This book is part of the Throne of Glass series and it is now being counted as the 6th book in that series. It was originally meant to be just a novella, but it was made into a full-length novel instead, which I was really excited about. It's also happening at the same time as the events in Empire of Storm, so this is a parallel book, not a continuation. I just want to quickly talk about spoilers. Obviously, if you haven't read the previous books in this series before this one, then this is going to spoil some stuff for you. I would suggest you go and read the series first before watching a book talk about this. But I will be doing a spoiler-free talk about this book now, and then at the end of this video I will then be talking about some of my favourite scenes. So if you've read the book, then you can stick around for that, but if you haven't read the book, then I will tell you when I'm going into the spoiler section so that you can go away, go and read the book, and then come back afterwards. Also, if you are interested, as the release date for this book was approaching, Bloomsbury released a party pack. This was so people could throw their own launch parties for the book's release, and I did a small dinner party for the release of this book and I took photos and posted them all on my blog. So if you'd like to have a look at that, I will leave a link in the description box for you. But for now, let's get on with the book review. This book follows one of my favourite characters from the series, Kael Westfall, who is the new Hand of the King, and Nesrin, who is the new Captain of the Guard, as they travel across the seas to find someone to heal Kael. Kael is in a wheelchair after being injured in a previous book. I'm not going to go into that in too much detail because I'll just end up retelling all of the books and the whole story, but just know that he is in a wheelchair and that they are seeking a healer, and as well as that, they are both seeking an alliance for the war that's coming. We get some returning characters in this book as well as some new ones as well. Obviously we get Kael, who is the focus of this story, and he is one of my absolute favourite characters, as I've already said. I know that some people don't particularly like him, and I know they've all got their different reasons for why they don't like him, but I have really liked him since the beginning and I still love him now. Nesrin is obviously a returning character too, and if you have read The Assassin's Blade, then you can also count Irene Towers as a returning character too. In terms of new characters, I would have to say my favourite is Sartak, but I will be talking about him more in the spoiler section. Just as it is with all of her other books, Sarah J Maas's writing is on point. I've never been disappointed with her writing, and I don't think I ever will be. I just adore it. There are some really memorable moments in here and some really incredible lines that I will talk about more in the spoiler section. In terms of the plot of this book, it obviously isn't progressing through time because, as I mentioned earlier, this book is parallel to Empire of Storms, so the events happening in this book are at the same time as Empire of Storms. So you don't actually get any progress throughout the story in terms of getting further through time, but you do get more of an idea and more details about what's going on with other characters. Now, if you've seen any of my book reviews before, then you might know that I do a little section in my reviews where I talk about who would play each character if it was ever made into a film or TV series. As some of you might know, this series has already been optioned for TV, and I believe they've already started writing the scripts. I don't know exactly where they are with that, but I'm really excited that it is possibly being made into a TV series. And I wanted to just say that I'm not actually going to go through any actors that I'd like to play any parts in this book. One, mainly because this is the middle of a series and I don't want to start talking about who I want to shove into the middle of a series as a character, but also because I'd actually quite like it if this series was a bit like Game of Thrones was for me, where we didn't really know many of the actors that were playing them and they became household names because of the series that they are in. I don't particularly want to start shouting out like random celebrity names and really famous actors and actresses. I think that this series would be best made with unknown people and new talent. So just to give my overall thoughts on this book before I move on to the spoiler section, I absolutely loved this book. I love that Kael got his own novel, and I'm so glad that it changed from a novella into a full-length novel as well. I didn't think it was possible to love the character of Kael any more than I already did, but I love him even more by the end of this. It's just incredible, and obviously I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So now I'm going to be talking about some things that are potential spoilers, so if you haven't read this book then I will let you go now. Thank you so much for watching. Go and read this book and then come back and let me know what you think. If you have read this book and want to find out what I have to say about the spoilers, then stick around. Just to say, when I'm talking about these spoilers, I'm not going to be retelling all the main parts of the story and things like that. I'm just going to be sharing with you a few of my favourite moments from the book. The first part that I really loved and wanted to talk to you about was the moment when Irene and Kael met for the first time. I loved that scene when Irene goes into Kael's room to assess him and decide whether she is going to heal him or not. I love how frosty she is with him and the questions that she asks. It was just the perfect first meeting, and I knew that I was going to love their dynamic from the first time they met. Although my favourite chapters were always the ones with Irene and Kael in them, I did also really enjoy the chapters with Nesrin and Sartak as well. I thought that their relationship that was building there was really interesting, and I would love to find out more about them as well. I love the adventure that they go on, and although it's very different to what's going on back where Kael and Irene are, it was just a really nice change to mix up the chapters. So I'm looking forward to finding out what's going to happen with them. Now I'm going to talk to you about my favourite part in this book, and that is when Irene and Kael finally get together. I sort of held out for that the whole way through this book. I was desperate for them to get together. There were points where I was just screaming, just kiss her already. But I absolutely love them, and that moment when they're in the desert, I absolutely love their interactions. And when Kael gives her the necklace for her birthday, it's just a beautiful scene, and I'm so glad that they got together. Obviously one of the main tasks in this book was trying to get Kael healed again so he can walk, and obviously Irene does agree to help him and try and heal him. And that moment when he finally stands up out of his chair and Irene keeps taking a step back and making him take another step towards her was absolutely incredible. It was such a lovely moment, and to say that she managed to heal him as well again by the end when he was completely healed and walking was absolutely incredible. Obviously a downside in this book after that was it felt like not even 2 minutes since he was completely healed that he ended up being injured again. Irene did everything in her power to save him, and she is now acting as a brace to help him walk, so her magical powers are actually what's keeping him up right now. The last thing I wanted to say about Irene and Kael is the fact that the end scene when they are on the boat, she is referred to as Lady Irene Westfall. So they have got married. We didn't get a wedding scene, as we never seem to do in any of the Sarah J Maas books, although she is apparently writing a wedding scene between Rhysand and Feyre in the ACOTAR novella that's coming out next year. But for this one we didn't get a wedding scene, but we do know that they are now married. It does mention how Kael then goes up to her and proposes, and they end up in the fountain, which I would love more detail for that, and then a wedding scene as well. But obviously I'm still very happy with the fact that they are married, and just them standing on the boat together, and she shows him the note and he realises exactly who it was that helped her all those years ago. I can't wait for them all to be reunited now, and I just love that those two are together and are finally happy. The final part I wanted to talk to you about was that very last chapter titled Fireheart. So this is about Aelin, and it is literally 2 pages long. It is the smallest sneak preview of where Aelin is at the moment and what is happening with her, and it's just making you really desperate for this final book to come out at the end of next year. So now we just have to patiently wait for that one. So that was my review for Tower of Dawn by Sarah J Maas. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have read this book and you would like to talk to me more about it, then please feel free to comment down below in the comment section. I could talk about any books by Sarah J Maas for hours on end, so please feel free to contact me. We can have a lovely long chat there. I've also put my Twitter, my Instagram and everything like that in the description box as well, so you can find me over on those if you'd like to chat there instead. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon with another video. Bye!